Welcome to HaCKuS Prime, the only place you can find the journey of broken to Bulkin. Today we are going to discuss a shattered dream. It is the 4-year anniversary of my accident when I feel like I completely lost this dream. So I figured it'd be a good topic for the day to discuss. This is a journey of physical and mental reformatting. You see a lot of the physical aspects of that with my workout videos. So these Sundays, I'm trying to make more of the mental aspect so you guys understand where I'm coming from up here. And what better appropriate background than my workout setup here at the house, right? So the shattered dream entailed I wanted to be a world's strongest man. When you break 26 bones and have multiple organ failures, it tends to put a damper on things. I've made a couple recent videos discussing the accident and everything that happened, but for this specifically, I'm going to talk about the dream, where it started, where we got to. We got to a decent point, but never any competitions. But without further ado, this is HaCKuS CoLoSSuS, A Shattered Dream. It started when I was real young, probably around 4 or 5 years old. I remember seeing my dad at the gym working out, and he was real adamant about working out. So he was always swole, stacked, and that was something that I always, had kept in my mind as a child. And then I eventually seen strongman competitions on ESPN. And as I was seeing the strongman competitions, I was around 8 years old, 9 years old. And that really started making me think, man, I like seeing how these people throw these weights around. I really like, how strong these people are. So that kind of got me going a little bit. I wanted to continue pursuing. I wanted to continue pursuing that strongman idea. So what I did was I would, find the heaviest things I could find around, big sticks, big logs, big whatever I could find. It eventually went from there to me being a teenager. In my younger teens, I was baling hay. As I baled a lot of hay, I got big traps. Then I was 12 years old when I started doing that. And by the time I was like 14, 15 years old, I was able to carry multiple bales of hay in each hand on the shoulder. I was stacking pyramids, and that put a lot of bulk on me. I already had a big frame at the time. I had a really big frame. I'm a big frame guy. Right now, I stand 6'3" and weighing 300 pounds. And, I was a hefty kid coming up, too. So as I was having fun throwing bales of hay around, I continued watching World's Strongest Man, and they know how they would throw kegs over about 15 feet up in the air. So that's what I would do. I would be throwing bales of hay. I had to throw bales of hay that high to go hitting the hopper, if you guys know anything about baling hay. But I kind of took that and I ran with it. From there, I started doing a lot of work around the farm, not just baling hay, but then with that, I wanted to be the one to carry the most gravel or shovel the most horse shit, and that's kind of where I was. I was always adamant about being strong about it, being fast about it, efficient about it, and I noticed that it would put on a lot of bulk. I was getting a lot of strength from doing these things without having to actually work out and exercise like an actual regimen. But somewhere along the lines, between friends and family, I found working out, and that was right around maybe 14, 15 years old when I really started understanding working out and how that worked out. Right around that time, also, my father gave me a small bench. So I had a bench at my house, and I had, my little weights, and I would do my little pump and iron there, here and there. We had also, because my mother and my stepfather was over here, father was over here, right? So Dad gave me a weight bench. I used those weights, and also in the basement of where I lived at with my stepdad and my mom, we had a similar setup to this back there, and that's where I would be at a lot of those nights, school nights, what have you. I'd be down there getting chest press on, lat pull downs on, be a strong boy. And I noticed in my teens specifically how strong I was becoming. So so I would take that, further and further. Hey, you need help moving that couch? You need help moving that washing machine? You need help moving that refrigerator? I would start moving bigger and heavier things, and I would find it fun. I'd find it amusing. It just, for whatever reason, it made me feel alive to move these heavy objects, to move these heavy weights, to move these heavy things. So of course, I kept pursuing that every opportunity I had. I would always want to see if I could be the one to lift the couch by myself, or, I was the guy that everybody called to help move, especially around that time when I was becoming 18, right around that age. Everybody's moving out or moving different places. Yeah, hey man, call Big Luke. He'll help you out. He'll move that for you. So it also around that time, while having friends and gaining that strength, you get looked at as the strongest person in the group, and I took a lot of pride in that for a long time, being, I felt like the strongest man in my damn group anyway, and I was the biggest. I always liked to lift the heaviest. After the little teenage saga, when I started actually getting to the work that I started doing around that time, 18, 17 years old, was bricklaying, specifically hardscaping. So I started moving a lot of bricks, blocks, wheelbarrows of limestone, digging dirt, a lot of that, and a lot of that transitioned very well to doing strongman things. And eventually I found myself carrying the most blocks that I could, carrying the most bricks that I could with my hands, trying to outdig excavators, just silly stuff, man. Taking wheelbarrows across ramps, real thin, narrow ramps up into dump beds, utilizing my strength in my body. And, as I told my boss at the time, that's kind of what I was aiming for. I'd like to do one day. So he kind of took that seriously, in his advantage. And he started pushing me to do more and dig harder, and literally dig harder, literally shovel faster, move bricks. And I would have some of my friends come and work with us occasionally here and there to make a couple bucks, and I would always have them load me up because, you can only load yourself up so much. But when you have a nice grip, I was carrying, was it 12 in the clip, 12 times 35, and somewhere around the 400 mark. So carrying around 400 pounds, that used to get me exhilarated. And that was in my early 20s when I was doing that. And, from there, I kept doing a lot of construction work. I was in construction, concrete specifically for foundations. There, I would overhead press the forms that they had. They were 4 foot by 9 foot, and those are about 100 pounds a pop, the aluminum forms. So then I would overhead press those. I got to the point where I was able to overhead press 2 at a time. So I know I was overhead pressing 200 pounds in the clip for reps at that while walking with it. What else? We were just getting exponentially stronger, especially in the 20s, in my 20s, I should say. I don't think I ever reached a 300-pound bench, but I was at 285. I knew that for sure. 285 bench. I could deadlift off the ground a stone, this huge stone that we had. It was about 405 pounds or something like that. And I picked that bad boy up off the ground and moved it. I had to pick it up out the hole. So yeah, deadlifted that bad boy all the way up, upright, locked out, walked it. So I had a lot of pride in my strength for a long time. After I had my own place, a stable place in my mid-20s, I had a workout bench outside, specifically with 200 pounds rusted on it. So every time I come up to the crib, rep out 200 pounds, we would put that on the back. We'd walk around, we'd squat with it. We were doing lunges with the 200 pounds. We were doing a lot of heavy things, getting really excited. I ended up finding a tractor tire. We had several tractor tires, but the biggest one that we had found was approximately 250 pounds. And that big bad boy, I used to suplex it, pick it straight up, suplex it overhead. I used to do a lot of cool strongman things. We found an excavator track from doing the concrete, found a skid steer track. We would pull that around. That used to simulate rows. What else? Sledgehammer swings, the tractor tires, finding a 20-pound sledgehammer and just swinging that repetitively, just over and over and over again. We would push it to the limit. We would push it to an insane limit. I liked moving heavy things. I loved being strong. I loved moving heavy weights. And if you've been keeping up with this channel, I recently made the video how 4 years ago to the day, essentially, that all got taken away from me. Throughout, leading up until that, from my mid-20s, all the way up until like the 30s, in my early 30s when it happened. I'm 35 now, about to be 36. Between that, I had lost myself. I stopped doing a lot of strongman things. I stopped pushing myself in ways that I should have. I essentially got consumed by my addiction, which was alcoholism. I got complacent. I was the strongest person in the group, so why did I have to get any stronger? I lost sight of my vision. I lost sight of my dream. And then eventually, every time I'd say one day, that one day never came. But the day that did come was the day of the accident. And it's a day that probably shouldn't have survived, but here I am. I don't know who would have survived such an accident, but for whatever reason I did, with the 26 broken bones, multiple organ failures, month-long coma, hanging out in purgatory for a while, different realms and realities. I came back, and then it took me a while to even conceive how broken I was, because, I was like, oh, it was just an accident. I got a couple broken bones. I'll be up and about. It happened on the 25th of January. I was in a coma for a month. And then when I woke up at the very end of February, I was telling my dad I was going to walk by his birthday on St. Patrick's Day, and that was not the case, because I was completely broken. Femur broken in half, hip broken, pelvis shattered, knee out of place, 5 vertebrae, 13 ribs, like still have a broken collarbone and separated shoulder to this day. Like, I don't know how far I'm going to be able to push this anymore, and I don't know how far I'm going to be able to pursue my dream. But for now, if you've seen the recent video, I am now bench pressing 225 pounds. I am deadlifting 225. I squatted 225, and the squat for the 225 that I did today, I chased that for 4 years. These past 4 years, I chased that squat, because that was something I used to essentially lunge. It's been a hard road. It's been difficult mentally, more so than physically. I just knew that the physical aspect would take a lot of time, but the mental part of it has been probably the hardest. Just trying to overcome certain aspects of your pride, because you used to know what you could do, and then there's things you got to start from ground one all over again. I mentioned in the video earlier, when I started the physical therapy in the hospital, I had to use a little clothespin. I used to have to use that with each finger. That was the beginning of my physical therapy, and that was strenuous enough for me. And then back to the 1-pound dumbbells, and from there learning how to just move and walk and lift yourself up. From there transitioning to the YMCA. It's been a long road, man. Little milestones. A couple specific milestones. That's what I should give you. When I was still in the wheelchair, I got left alone at home one day. I rolled a 50-pound dumbbell. Actually, as a matter of fact, this bad boy right here. I've had this since my 20s. This used to be my pride and joy. I got 2 of them. This is what helped make me so damn strong back in the day. So I got this, and I rolled it all the way from the floor up my leg onto my lap. I rolled that bad boy up my chest, and I pushed that thing as hard as I could, and I knew that there was a possibility it could have fallen on me while I was in that wheelchair. But I pushed it up. That was a huge milestone for me. I knew that I was going to be able to do something with myself after that. That was a huge milestone when I was still in the wheelchair first year. At the very end of that year, in December, I ran for the first time. Since I couldn't, I ran. I actually was able to run. Maybe nothing more than 25 feet, but I ran. My legs worked. Pretty amazing feeling in that moment. So between being able to just roll that 50 pounds up, being able to run, little by little, I started seeing these milestones. I think it was in February of 2022. That's when I leg pressed 400 pounds. And that in itself, that was a huge milestone for me, for my ego, for my pride, like that. I needed that to know that these legs can still do something. And even though I still had, after the accident, and even at that point in February 2022, I still had my colon out of place. I still had my abdominal hernia, the diastasis recti, that was growing to the size of a watermelon because I was pushing myself so hard. And also, I do not have a right oblique still. So my lower intestines pops out above where I shattered my pelvis at. That's where the oblique was attached to. So I still have yet to have that surgery, if they can figure something out. But in the process, I've managed to get myself pretty strong again. Not as strong as I once was, but Definitely stronger up here. That's been the most important part, was learning how to push myself through that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to be a world's strongest man as I once wanted to. I knew before that I could. I knew for certain that I could. But it's been a hell of a ride watching other people achieve a dream that you thought you were going to have. And I'm sure that you others out there have dreams that you know what I'm talking about. So to see, the Eddie Halls and the Brian Shaws out there of the world doing their thing, it just like, damn, I should have been out there with them. That should have been me. That could have been me. But I was too complacent and I didn't do anything about it. I always kept saying one day, and that one day never came. So that's what this journey's been all about. This journey is so that you know that you can keep on keeping on no matter what. I mean, look at the numbers that I put up today in my previous video that I just posted earlier today. They told me that I wasn't ever going to be able to have a normal life, even after 3 years. They were like, 3 years, you're lucky if you're going to be able to walk normal. I pushed beyond that. I have a steel rod in my femur. I have a titanium hip. I have hardware in my pelvis. Like, I had to overcome 5 broken vertebrae and 13 broken ribs and double collapsed lung is no joke, boy. Them heart failures, 3 heart failures. I don't know how hard I'm going to be able to push this body, but I tell you what, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to push myself as far as I can to at least achieve something. Like, I don't care if I make it to an amateur strong, make it to an amateur strongman competition. I'll be happy at this point. And that'll have sufficed me, knowing that I can push myself to a degree that I wanted to. And if anything happens and comes from that, then so be it. If I can get stronger as the time goes on, I'm going to get as strong as I possibly can before either the ticker runs out, we break more, break down more, whatever have you. But this time around, we're not going to let anything stand in my way. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to be as strong as I can, and hopefully you guys be here for the ride. Well, you will be, because I'll be sharing it all. Thanks for hitting up this live today. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the help. Go check out the previous video I made earlier today. It was an anniversary tribute to the 4 years of the accident, and also 4 years sober today. So keep on keeping on, no matter what you do out there. Get up, get out, go do something positive for yourself. Like, pursue your dream. It'd probably be a good idea. And I'll catch you next Sunday. Much love. That's all I want.